In the beginning, there was a seagull, and it was hungry. No, I'm just kidding you. There was actually this Mark 1 kayak autopilot I built. Not exactly fancy, wires all over the place, took up a lot of space, so I wanted to improve it. And here's what I came up with. A slightly smaller unit. I managed to get all the components into this nifty little box, which I got at a science surplus store. I've hooked up my usual motor. I've tied it to a pot switch, which all feeds into this Arduino here. As you can see, I've actually got it tied into a radio controller from an old RC car that I had floating around. The RC car was doing no good, so I figured I'd borrow it for this unit. Here's a close-up look. I've got most of the components tucked away inside there. And you can see up here, I actually forgot to mention I tucked in my compass unit right here inside this little film canister. Got my wires leading off the bottom. Anyway, got my usual motor here, and I did attach this slug nut here, which happened to be the perfect sized receiver for the pot switches. I put a little piece of copper through it down here to make sure that it wasn't going anywhere and to make sure that it was always indicating the right motor position. Just based on measuring the resistance, I can figure out where that shaft is. As you can see, I just have to feed the leads from my RC module down into my Arduino, snap the whole thing shut, and it's ready to go. It's not 100% waterproof, but it's certainly much nicer looking than the original unit that I came up with in the first place. So here's what it looks like when the whole thing is put on my kayak. Just bolted it onto my rear hatch there. I didn't have to drill any holes in my kayak, thank goodness, but I can always buy a new hatch cover. Got my standard left and right controls, and I do have it pause when it reaches the center. I can actually calibrate the position of the center, and while I'm calibrating the position of the center, I'm also calibrating the compass. So when I'm done with my calibration, I just have to find the new center and disengage calibration, and then that is my new rudder center. I can go ahead and push up and engage the compass, and when I do, I still have the ability to steer just a little bit, but the compass will fight me on that. I can always turn that off probably faster than it would take to correct. I have not put this thing in the water yet, but I'm optimistic that it'll perform just about the same as the original Kayak autopilot. I had to sacrifice my manual controls. It was just too much for the motor to handle. But as you can see, it's moving pretty well here, so I'm optimistic once I put it in the water, it'll look pretty darn good. That's all I've got for now. See you soon.